Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I will talk about home buying process in this seminar, and I hope this information would be helpful for someone who is about to start this journey into the home buying process. So let me start with introducing myself. My name is Lana Ryboy, and I'm a realtor. Just the light here. Okay, so I'm a realtor. I am a top producer within my company, and I really enjoy doing my job. I have 2 degrees in my background. One is in marketing and another one in psychology. So I do my best to implement all my knowledge to what I'm doing right now. So let's move on. Today I will cover a few things. We will start our conversation about home buying process with setting up the right real estate goals. I will explain how to do that and what basically it is. Then I will give you some advice based on my psychological knowledge, and I'm trying to make the process easier for you and for me and for everyone involved into the home buying process, with making decision preferences and lots of other things. So there are some ways how we can make it easier for everyone, and I'll talk about it. That would be the third part, most important over here, because I will explain what are the steps of home buying process. And I will cover it only basics. I will cover only basic stuff over there, because I can talk about each of the steps for an hour or maybe even more, but I'm limited on time here. I'll try to do my presentation as short as like 30-40 minutes, maybe even more short, depends on how many examples I will present to you during during describing each topic. But anyway, steps and tips, that's what you will learn today. And at the end, I'll show you a slide with my contact information, so you'll be able to ask me some questions, send me them through the email, or give me a call if you would like to talk to me. So first of all, whenever I meet with my customers, I always try to understand why we're here. Is it something in their life that really needs to happen? What they're trying to accomplish? I'm trying to learn more about people and ask questions about themselves. So the first thing, we need to understand why they're here, what they're trying to change, because depending on how many people are involved into the process of making this decision, 1, 2, or maybe even more. So if it's a couple, I try to understand both husband and wife. If it's one person, then we talk more about their lives and what they're trying to hear. If it's a big group of people, if family is involved into the decision-making process, then I try to hear everyone involved, and then I just again listen, ask questions, and try to understand where they all are and why they came to me. What I really want to know is their time plan. So how long people would like to live in the house which they are buying right now? Is it a plan for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Do they plan to grow their kids in this house and then move? Maybe they're downsizing, and they still plan to live in this house for another like 20, 30 years till the time they need to move to a special facility or join their kids so they can assist them for living. Just a plan. Maybe they know that they would be transferred to other country in 5 or 3 years, and we need to know that, because this will affect all their financial planning as well. What kind of programs they would be choosing, what kind of down payment, what they would be making. All those questions will affect. So how long? 3, 5, 10, 15, 20. Really important to understand. And different people in the family might have different positions. So that's why it is so important to, let me quickly mute all the participants so there is no sound in the background. Thanks for joining us. So again, I'm explaining what is it the plan for our life we're trying to make about the real estate. So how soon they want to move. Again, we're just making plans. Sometimes our life changes and the circumstances might change, but having a plan is a good thing. Maybe you plan to live in here for a few years and then move to a bigger house. How soon you think you would be able to make it? It all depends. It will all affect your financial financial planning with your lender. Because if you want to buy another house within a year or maybe 2 years, and you might want to save more funds for it, or how it will affect your credit scores, how soon you would be able to raise it back to the level you want to have for buying another property. Maybe you want to buy an investment property within the same year. So again, we need to make a financial plan, how much you're going to spend right now and how much you need to spend within next few months or maybe next few years. So again, good question. When you're moving next time, at least when you want or when you would have to move. Again, it might be unpredictable, but at least we'll have something at the beginning and we'll discuss it. Another good question is, what will happen with this house whenever you're moving next time? What is your vision? Do you want to leave this house as an investment property and then move to a bigger house or maybe to a smaller house, and again keep this one? So what financial program will work better for this for these purposes? What other factors we need to take into considerations? Do we need to look at the schools up to high school or maybe just middle and elementary? So if your kids grow up only up to like 10 years old within this house, do you want to move to a better high school after, I mean, to a more like higher rated high school after that, or not? So what's the plan? So do you want to keep this house or not? So for what? Maybe leave it for your child, maybe leave it for your parents. It will affect finances. And again, like I told you, we need to realize what's the plan according to your future investments. Do you want to buy more properties? Within what time? What's gonna happen with this house? So it's all, I call it a financial plan, financial real estate plan, life plan, and we need to think about it before we start everything, before we even go and talk to a lender about our current financial situation. By the way, if you have any questions, you may ask them in the chat. I'm just typing the message to everyone. So please put your questions in public chat. If you want to ask me something privately, everyone, just send everything through chat as of now, and later on you would be able to contact me directly through the phone, through my phone number or my email. So I'm moving on. So whenever we are done with the planning, I give some advice, and it depends on the situation in the family. I see how people interact with each other. I might give some more advice or less, but one big advice I give to everyone is that you need to talk to each other. You need to talk to each other about what you want to change in your life, and you just to say it up loud, because we can't read other people's mind. We can't understand what's in this head. We need to talk. We need to say it so people understand what are our goals. And I recommend to make kind of a family evening when you sit all together at the table, just drink some tea or something, and say to each other, and maybe make a list. So try to express how you see your current situation. What are the pluses of your current home situation, housing situation? What are the minuses and pluses? Maybe the current payments are low and it works great with you, and future payment might go up. How you will work on that part. And maybe right now you have less space or you have too much space, and how you want to change it, what you still need to have. So all pluses and minuses, how you see that, needs to be announced to each other. And again, just even making a list will be great for future references. Once you have an analysis of your current situation, you can discuss what the main things you want to change with it. So what basically brought you to me is the reason you want to change. You probably want to make your life better. That's normally what happens with that. We want to improve our life circumstances and everything we have around. So what are the biggest thing you want to change, and what are the less important things you want to change, and why? What makes you feel good or bad about the thing? So why you want to change it? So the next thing I recommend to make a list of is the features. What the features are, maybe some characteristics or maybe some emotional things you need to have, or you need to feel about your next home. So something you want to have in there, something that should be in there, and what do you want that this house represent to you, how you want to feel about it. And then the second thing, what should not be there, what feelings should not be present when you come into the house or when you see it online. So make two lists, no and yes. And the biggest thing over here is try not to argue. Whenever you make those lists, that's the thing, you're just announcing, so your spouse or your family kind of aware what's going on. And whenever you share your opinion, other people just need to listen to you. Again, this is a conversation, the first conversation you do this with your family. It's not for arguing or trying to tell, no, you're wrong, no, we shouldn't have it. It's just for announcing it and make other people know that this is what you want. And you do the same. You listen why they want to change the current situation, and what they want to see in their future home, in their future situation over there. So now I'm switching to the home steps. If you have any questions about the information I just presented to you, please put your questions in our group chat. I'll be happy to answer your questions while I'm presenting or at the end of the presentation. And again, you will have more time at the end of the presentation. Probably you will have more questions on the steps and some tips I'm covering over here. So first thing I do recommend to start with is to choose your specialist you will be working with, a realtor that would be helping you during the whole process. People ask me a question a lot. People ask me a lot about if they are obligated to use a realtor. Can they buy or sell a house without using a realtor? And yes, it's only your decision, because it's only your money and it's only your life, and you're the only one decision maker. If you want to use a realtor, you can use a realtor. If you want to do everything by yourself, you can do everything by yourself. The realtor will just help you navigate you through the tons of information, explain you the options. And what I normally do, I explain my clients, what and how we can do, what are your options, what might follow after that. And I give all the information, I give my advice, what I think might be better for them in their situation. But you are always the decision maker. The only one decision maker is you. So once you select your realtor, and one more thing I want to go over is whenever you buy a house, in most cases, you don't even have to pay for your realtor whenever you're buying with them. Why I'm saying in most cases, because whenever we have a realtor representing the seller, these situations are mostly clear, because if the seller hired a realtor, the seller is willing to cover, they are normally covering all the commissions, meaning the seller is paying for seller's realtor work, and they are paying for the buyer's realtor work. But whenever we see a listing, and it may happen on Zillow or some other websites called for sale by owner. In this case, it might be a little bit different. Sellers who don't hire a realtor, they don't want to spend more money on commissions, but they don't want to share these commissions with you or with other realtors. They want to keep this money, so that's why they don't want to hire anyone, neither for you, neither for them. It always works tricky. Sometimes those sellers who don't want to hire realtors, they are fine with covering buyers' realtors' commissions. Again, it all can be verified. Working with for sale by owners is a little bit different. And sometimes they don't want to cover your buyer's representation, I mean, buyer's realtor commission at all. Again, everything needs to be discussed, and it's better to do it up front at the beginning. So what you want to do if you face to a house you really like and it's for sale by owner, what are the options? And there are many options how you can work with them. So after selecting your realtor, then there is a first form. You should be reading through. It's called information about brokerage services, and basically it just covers information about what kind of relationships can be set up between realtors and their clients, between brokers and their client or customers. It's just an informational form, but I am obligated to present it to my customer or client at our first substantial dialogue about real estate and our future plans. So, and again, it's no obligation for you. You just read it and say, yes, I understand everything. And if you don't, then I need to explain everything to you, or your realtor needs to explain what does it mean, some terms over there. So once you have your assistant for this journey, meaning a realtor, whenever you know what kind of relationships can be set up between you, you can talk about your needs and what is your plan? What do you plan to so what you basically need. So you need to establish what are the functions of the house you really want to acquire. How many bedrooms, how many people you need to sleep and where and how, what's the square footage, how many floors, how many bedrooms, do you need a big yard? If you have a dog, maybe you need some place for it to run. Do you want a pool or not? So you establish your basic needs and you establish your extra needs, like this would be nice, but it's not obligational. And you establish the main things, that this is what I really need for life. I can't live without it. So you know what you basically need, and at the same time, you would have about the same time is the moment you need to address to come and have a conversation with a loan specialist. Loan specialist is an entity that originates your loan. It can be a bank, it can be mortgage brokers, lender. We just call them lenders. So those are the entities that originate your loans and provide you with money for the purchase. So the lender will ask information from you about your financial situation, how much you earn, how much you spend. They will say what are your credit scores, what are your savings, and what again, after looking at all those numbers, they will try to find the best financial program for you, for your exact situation, that will work better with your current situation. Again, remember we were making a plan on how long do you plan to stay in the house, how do you need money now, will you need them for later. That's all you discuss with the lender as well, because maybe you want to make your monthly payment certain way, or maybe you want to spend less on your down payment, or maybe you're willing to spend more on down payment and you're not going to need funds in future. So this all needs to be discussed with the lender for your future financial plans, for your financial planning. So after the lender looks through your financial stuff, they would be able to provide you with a number, how much they are able to how much they will give you, how much money they can lend to you. So let's say you were thinking about buying a house. I can afford a house for like $200,000. Then you go talk to a lender looks at your current situation, your incomes, spendings, and everything, about just everything, savings. And they tell you, well, unfortunately, we can only provide you with 150. And I go, oh my gosh, so what we would have to go to a lower number, because lender is lender, and that's why I recommend to start with a lender, so there is no uh, like feelings hurted after that when you need to go from higher to lower numbers. It's easier to go from lower to numbers because the houses will look a little bit different, and again, just starting with the lender is always great because they will put your mind into the right direction. So the kind of mindset will be the right from the right at the beginning of our journey. So once we know your needs, what you need to have within your next house, and once we know how much you can afford after you discussed it with the lender, we start looking for the right home for you. And it all starts online. Whenever I help you to set up certain systems in my search portal, I create a portal for you, and it's really easy to use it on your side. I can put certain criteria into it whenever you want to be zoned to certain schools, or maybe you want your tax rates to be, let's say, not higher than 2.4 or 2.5. I can even put those numbers in and say, hey, we want to spend on a certain amount, so this would be this and that. I can't put exact what should be, like the carpet, no carpet, or stuff like that, but pictures will show you these details. But the main things I can implement into, like financially, many things. I can put into your search. I can always adjust this search criteria. So if we're looking in one area and you decide I want to, like, I was looking at Katie, I want to now check Woodlands. Okay, we will add the Woodlands like houses into your portal, and you will be observing them as well. And again, this is all online, so you look through pictures, through numbers, but all those listings you receive from me, they match your initial criteria. So it would be a certain amount of bedrooms, it would be only certain schools, it would be only certain numbers for taxes and stuff, whatever is important for you. Once the portal is set it up, we start going outside and look for the houses. We make I set up showings for you. It can be a tour for half the whole day. We can set up 10 houses at once and go look at all of them. So I schedule one after another, and you don't have to call anyone. You just tell me, Lana, I want to see these 5 houses, and we go from there. You tell me the time when you want to go, how much time do we need to when you need to finish, and I try to work around your schedule and match my schedule with it as well. So we'll start from online, then we go look at the houses. Let's say, okay, house number 5, that's my dream house, and what's next? So we found the house, we start putting our offer together. Offer is like that big bunch of documents, a huge pile, lots of things to read through. I normally send most of those documents in small portions from the moment we start working together, because it's really hard to go over all the documents in one night. You have had like that after that. So I try to give small portions, and we work through the documents. I explain what those mean. So by the time we need to make an offer, you're prepared. You know what documents you would be signing and why. I always ask people to read and understand everything, because I don't want you to sign any paper before reading and understanding why you're signing it and what are you signing, what for. So we sign a bunch of papers. We sign a big document called contract, where we tell the seller that, hey, we want to buy your house for 100,000. There's many fees discussed in the contract, which we negotiate who will be paying for. And trust me, it can be paid, most of them can be paid by seller or by buyer, and that's what we negotiate, who is paying for different things. you want to pay full 100,000 for this house, or maybe you will start from 95 and say, hey seller, I want to pay only 95,000 and I want you to pay for all the fees and for title policy and for everything. And the seller says, hey, no way, I want you to pay for this and that, and I want my house to be like full price, 100,000. And we just go back and forth trying to find the middle, some point, maybe not like closer to our position or to seller's position, where everyone, meaning buyer and seller, will agree on terms. So once we finish negotiations, everyone agreed on terms, everyone signs the papers with those terms in, and everyone gets notified about the fact that everything is signed. That's the moment, like legally or like in theory, we need to put the execution date on the contract. There is a special spot for it. So execution date, that's the moment we start counting everything from. Let's say today we've signed everything, put it an executed date. Tomorrow is day number 1 of our execution period. And please let me know if you have any questions at the material I have covered so far. If no, I will start next slide. So we have a contract on our hands. Everyone signed it. Everyone is aware that we're in an execution period and we're in the process of our sale. Yay. So first things we need to do, we need to deposit 2 checks. So the buyer needs to deposit 2 checks. One is for earnest money and one is for option fee. So earnest money goes directly to the title company and you make it to the name of the title company. Normally it's about 1% of the sales price. So if you're buying a house for like $200,000, it would be about 2,000, less or more. It's negotiable, but what I normally see and more regularly see, it's about 1%. It goes to title company, it needs to be delivered within 3 days, or contract is not valid. There is no contract if you haven't delivered earnest money. Again, there might be certain things to discuss over there, but you have only 3 days to deliver the earnest money, and then you also have only 3 days to deliver option fee. Option fee, that's the fee you deliver directly to the seller. You make a check, it can be your personal check, you deliver it to the seller directly, made to his name. And the thing with option fee is you will never get this money back. So option fee, once you made a check, it goes and never comes back to you. If you close on a house, it would be credited to you at closing, but again, it stays with the seller forever from the moment seller receives and deposits it. The other thing, you need to have those money on your account, because once title company or seller receives these checks, they can just go and deposit them. So you need to have this money. And also the fact that you have 3 days for delivering option fee is very important, because if you don't deliver it within 3 days, then you don't have option period. So what is option period? That's the time you really want to have, and that's why you pay this option fee. So how much this option fee could be? It's also negotiable. I mean, it could be whatever number, but in most cases I see numbers from 150 up to 350, depending on what kind of house is that, how expensive it is. Sometimes I saw $500 option fee, I saw $1,000 option fees, I saw $50 option fee. So it can vary. Depends on the house, depends on the situation. If it's multiple offer situation and you want to show that you're more serious about buying, then you make it bigger. If it's just a regular situation, you just play around the numbers from like around 200 something, plus minus $50 or $100. That's, again, it's not obligational, it's just what I normally just more often see around. So what is the option period? Option period is the time when you as a buyer have an unrestricted right to terminate the contract and get your earnest money back. So let's say today we signed a contract, tomorrow we took two checks, delivered it to title company and the seller. On a day two, you wake up in the morning and like, oh, no, I made a mistake. This is just not for me. This house is not mine. So I want to get something different. You have an unrestricted right to terminate and get the money back during this option period. And it's normally from 5 to 10 days, 7 to 10 days, just again, negotiable, varies from situation to situation. And if you're still in option period and you want to terminate, everything is good. You sign a special paper, send it to the seller, and you're good. You terminate it, and then you can receive your earnest money back. After option period, it will become really problematic to terminate the contract. So also during the option period, what you do is you go and make your inspections. So you want to make sure that this house is in good condition and the money you are going to pay for it, it's worth of paying them for this house. So nothing is broken, everything is in working condition. That's why you hire an inspector, maybe multiple inspectors, depending on the house, who come and check it for you. If all the systems in the house are working properly, if something needs to be adjusted, fixed, or replaced, that's when you figure it out. You start with general inspection or termite inspection, and if any other inspections are needed, you add it extra. So the numbers for inspections may vary. I would say just very rough numbers from like, let's say from 300 up to 800. It's like something average. From 300 to 800, it's average, so it can be somewhere in between. With some houses you need to spend more when you need more specific and more expensive inspections, like mold testing might be very expensive, and some other testing might be also very expensive. Again, depends on the house and what issues were revealed by the initial inspectors. So if there are any issues with the house, you again try to negotiate what to do with them. And you better to finish those negotiations during option period. So, and again, it's only like 7 days. You are very short on time, and you need to be very concentrated on what you're doing and try to find all the specialists quickly. Realtors normally help with those things, navigate you how to find what to do, what to ask, and where to go for those. And right now, I wanted to say a few words about pandemic situation we're going through right now, because not everyone is working. Some inspectors are not working at all, and from my side, I said that it's more hard to find good inspectors right now. And those who are most reputable get busy faster. Of course, we have less activity in the market right now, but still, it just might be more hard to find someone to do the good job for you. So that's just the situation. Also, I wanted to go a little bit backwards when I was talking about the process of choosing a house. Nowadays, because of the pandemic, it's more risk to get infected whenever you go anywhere. So whenever you go look at the houses, there was a special form issued which you need to sign before going to the houses. Not everyone, but most of them, especially occupied, where you say in this form that you are kind of, you need to confirm that you are on a lower risk for those sellers to allow you to come in, that you haven't traveled, you haven't contacted with sick people, you have no fever and stuff like that. So the seller wants to know that you are a good option for them to come in and safe person to allow her. You need to have a mask, gloves, sometimes shoe covers, and it is important right now. Any place, any moment where you come into contact with some other people or to the shared areas, that's when you need to be very careful, and the real estate rules have changed, and they are applied to all those circumstances that we have nowadays. So we are very carefully trying to work. So now we're moving from inspections to repairs. If you found something that is wrong in the house, inspector told you, let's say the AC is not cooling properly, you need to, I recommend to invite a specialist from an AC company to tell you what exactly is wrong, because the general inspector is not going into that details. They can't give you the quote on how much to fix it, because they are not a licensed AC specialist. It's an inspector, licensed inspector, but not a licensed AC specialist, not a licensed plumber, not a licensed roofer. For each quote, you need to find a licensed specialist, so they see what could be the problem and how much would it be to fix it. And you need to have a note from inspector, this is wrong, and another note from the contractor, this is how much it would be to fix. And then with those two papers, you go to the seller and say, hey, Mr. Seller, I offered you $100,000 for this house, but we found those issues that will cost us another 10,000. Let's reduce the price, or Mr. Seller, please fix all these things. And then you again negotiate and see if the seller will agree either to reduce the price or maybe fix the things, or if you're fine with all those issues, you may say, I don't care, I will buy it anyway. So it depends on the situation. But that's how you discuss the repairs, and it all needs to be done, preferably needs to be done during the option period, because if you won't come into agreement with the seller, you can terminate during the option and walk away. So, but of course, we're always trying to find solutions and to come to agreement with the sellers on repairs. That's the goal between realtors and sellers and buyers, because everyone wants to move on. So next thing is appraisal. So what is appraisal? The bank or the lender, the lender wants to know that the house you're buying is worth the money you're asking for. Because let's say you're buying a house for $100,000, you come to the lender, say, hey, Mr. Lender, I'm buying this house, please give me 90,000 for it. And the lender say, hey, wait a moment, I need to send an appraiser to make sure that this house is in good shape and it's worth of this 100,000 it is sold for. So bank hires an appraiser. Appraiser goes to the house, checks if it's all good, checks the market condition and other sold numbers around, and goes back to the bank and say, hey, bank, it's all good. The house is worth of the amount they are asking for. Then you proceed. But it may happen that the appraisal says, hey, the house is not as good. It doesn't cost 100,000. It should be less. If appraisal comes lower, then you're again at the moment you need to renegotiate the terms of the contract and figure out who will be covering that difference, either seller or the buyer. So who is paying more, or getting, if the buyer might have to pay more, or the seller might have to go down in price. So, and it's negotiable, and sometimes it's a tough question. But anyway, if the appraisal is okay and everyone is ready to proceed, the appraisal is matching the sales price, everyone is happy, we're moving on. And the next thing we need to take care and make sure everything is fine with is a title commitment. Title commitment is a document that comes from the title company. The title company is a place where everything is processed. All the documents and all the money are processed with the title company. They take care of that paper stuff and legal stuff. They prepare the deed and they check the history of possession. They make sure that the seller has legal rights to sell the house and everything is fine with the history of possession. They also check if there are any liens against the property and if something needs to be covered before the sale. So title company is a very important entity and they do a big job for us, for buyers and sellers. And once they have checked everything and they tell you that everything is good, they issue title commitment and they insure your possession. So this is a document that the lender is waiting for, because the first thing, lender is seeing, okay, the house appraised, so it's worth of money you're asking for, but then the bank wants to make sure that you're legally everything is fine and the seller is fine to sell. The seller has legal rights to sell it. Once the bank gets the title commitment and say everything is good, then we're happy again, because the transaction looks like it's legal. So it's legal, the money portion is fine, then we want to see the survey. So what's the survey? Survey is a plan of the property. It's basically a picture of the land and which shows where everything is located. Where are your boundary lines, where the easements, where the house stays, where the pool is, where the shed, where is everything. So it shows what you really own. And the title company wants to see it before providing a title commitment, because they want to make sure that the seller is selling whatever he owns, and the bank want to make sure that it is all good as well. So survey is a very important document. Sometimes sellers have them, sometimes someone needs to buy it, and it's negotiable who is paying for a new survey, so discussed in the contract. The next thing you want to, so again, going according to this path, if everything is good and survey okay, you get the loan approval after the bank, so the title commitment and appraisal came in good. So the bank gives you his big okay, which means he approves your loan, and you are moving forward, and you're almost at the closing. But before the closing happens, you need to go to the house and make sure that everything is good with the house. It stays where it was supposed to be, in good condition, and nothing is broken, nothing is stolen, and it's called a walkthrough before the closing. So final walkthrough, you go and make sure everything is fine. So if it's not fine, then there are things to renegotiate again, or make your decisions on what you want to do and how you want to resolve it. But you always want to make sure that the house is all good before you go and sign the papers at closing at the title company. So with the closing nowadays in this pandemic situation, again, closing is supposed to combine many people together in one room where everyone is signing the documents. At least it would be you, the buyer, me, your agent, and the closer. Sometimes your lender will join you for the closing as well. It depends on the lender. But anyway, nowadays it might be risky to make such a big crowd in one place. And the title companies do a great job. They make closing on parking lot. They use mobile notaries so people can stay separated and do it. They do online virtual closings, not for all transactions, not it's not it's mostly for cash transactions, but anyway, title companies are doing a great job trying to adjust to current situations. And whenever you know that you don't want to meet or go somewhere, we need to find a way with the title company what and how you want to do. And again, title companies, not maybe all of them, but many of them are doing a great job. So you've signed everything. Once the lender, so you've signed all the documents would be sent to the lender, so the lender reviews it. If everything is good, all the signatures work fine with them, and then the lender says, okay, here are your money, and the funds get dispersed and everyone gets paid. Seller gets their money, and from that moment the possession is transferred to you, to the new buyer. Sometimes it might happen a little bit later if the seller wants a few more days for a lease back, but anyway, after you fund, you get the possession. At the same time, a little bit later, depends on the situation, but again, most of cases you just get your keys and you're ready to move. And then congratulations, everyone is happy and we've done it. So, and actually I'm done with my presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm open for them. I'm happy to answer. Here is the information about my Facebook page. Please like it. It's called Lana Raiba Realtor. I also have a Russian version of it, Russian-speaking realtor, Lana Raiboy. And I appreciate your time. Please send me your questions. Here's my email, realtorlana1@gmail.com. I'm all here to help, and thank you very much again. I wait for a couple more minutes. If you have questions, just let me know. Yeah, I think we're good. So again, thank you and have a great day.